Today we're going to focus on getting started with the act of drawing, which consists mostly of developing eye-hand coordination. So anyone who can write legibly has the physical ability to record observations of a subject through drawing. So the reason that most people have difficulty drawing realistically is not because any lack of physical skill or talent, but because they haven't been trained to really look at what they see. So let's dive in and start making some marks. Hey, so I'm at home and I'm getting set up to draw, and just for these first blind line contour drawings, we're going to use our newsprint, which is this 12 by 18 inches in size. Do not draw straight on the pad. Tear a sheet out carefully, and then put the pad aside with your other materials, and then you have your wood board that you bought, or if you have a drawing board, which like I have, put it down on there. And with all of these drawings, we're going to work specifically in pen so that we don't have to worry about what's on our paper. We don't have to be concerned with trying to erase anything. We're just going to focus on eye-hand coordination. So let's get started. What I have in front of me is just a regular still life of objects that I found around the house. Pots and pans should be easy to find. We're going to start with developing some eye-hand coordination through the use of a blind line contour drawing. So what you do with this type of drawing is take a pen. It could be any pen. I just happen to have these microns on hand. If you don't, that's no problem. Use regular ballpoint pen or even a Sharpie if you have to. I've got my large paper, and what I'm going to do is whole point is that you imagine your eye as the tip of this drawing tool. So once I put that down, I don't pick it up again. I move very slowly, and my eye goes across the edge of that form as my pen does. So I don't worry about the entirety of the still life. I just focus on that moment in time. And the most important thing is that I don't worry about what's down on my paper as I draw. So I'm going to go ahead and get started and move very slowly. And so this will help you to develop your eye-hand coordination. Don't look down ever. This drawing is not meant to be a beautiful drawing. It's meant only to utilize the process of trying to get your eye and your hand working together. So the end result should actually be a little bit strange and awkward looking. Notice I'm moving slowly. I'm not looking down on my paper, and I'm getting my eye and my hand moving together. When you do these kinds of drawings, it's focused. Fight the urge to look down. The nice thing about having other people maybe around you, I don't know if you have roommates or anything like that, is that you can have somebody kind of police you to make sure that you're not looking. So as my eye hits the edge of each individual element, I just follow along it. I don't pick up my pen at all, ever. And I go and meander through all of these objects as my eye sees fit. So what I want you to do is to, in the end, produce 3 different drawings that are slow moving. I would say hopefully 10, 15 minutes each, as much as you can focus. Again, your hand shouldn't be moving any faster than your eye is moving. Don't generalize any of those edges. Be specific to how your eye is following the textures and the shifts in those planes of those forms. And these end up being really unique looking drawings. If you decide to vary your line weight, you can do that as well. It depends also on your drawing tool, what kind of pen you're using. Maybe you could get thicker or thinner lines, lighter or darker. So the end result with a blind line drawing doesn't really matter so much. That's not the point. What is important is the way blind contour drawing gets your mind off of what you're putting on the page and puts it back where it ought to be, on your careful observation of the subject. And if I can't get to another part of the form, I'm just going to go right back across an edge that maybe I've already traveled through. Until I feel like I've gotten through all of the objects. Notice the number of objects I have, like about 6 I've got here. That's a good number. You want some variety, but you also don't want to overwhelm yourself starting out for the first time with this. Again, don't look down. That's the main thing. Don't look down. You're only cheating yourself if you do, because this is meant to help you become a better drawer, and that's the whole goal of this class. So I'm going to see if I can get over to that fork maybe. So in general, if it's just a straight line, you can go a little bit faster. If it's a little bit more detail, slow it back down again. And also, don't necessarily gauge yourself by me. I've been doing this for many years. As beginners, it's good to, be kind to yourself, embrace the process, and see what comes of it. With the amount of time that you're drawing each week, you should end up being quite good at this process of developing a drawing by the end of the course. Now I'm going to do another blind line contour drawing, but this time of myself. So this way I can totally please myself and not let myself look down and stay completely focused on just the drawing, going slow and following my eye with the edge of whatever I'm drawing. So if we were in person in class, I'd have you across from another student and you get to police each other, which is actually a lot of fun. And so it's super important to really, focus on getting that eye and that hand working together. And the more you do this, the better you'll get at it. Don't worry about whether or not, your eyes are in place across from each other. And if you get stuck, like in open space, not everyone's faces has lines that connect really well. You just form your own connection until you get back into the area where you want to be. So with this one, I've decided to do Sharpie. The nice thing about the pen is that you also can't feel compelled to erase anything, because like I said, I don't want to see these being any kind of super beautiful drawings. It's more about the fact that you're sitting and concentrating on what you're doing and what you're observing. I had a friend in undergrad for her thesis show. She actually did a whole series of blind line contours for her final BFA exhibition. She did them kind of monotype style. And they were really beautiful with just a flat colored background. So again, even with the hair, don't scribble. Keep it slow and see what you come up with. And if you lose your concentration, just try to refocus, get back to it, keep your drawing tool down always. until you feel like you've gotten through everything on the face there. So for this last drawing, I'm going to do 3 drawings, one on top of the other. So I have different grades of pencils here. So I have an H, a B, and a 4B, or you might have a 3B. So I'm going to go from the hardest pencil, which would be the lightest line, with the H first, and I have 3 different objects. However, if you really enjoy doing, the portrait, I might suggest that you do portraits of other people with a blind line contour and maybe lay one on top of the other. I'm going to just work with objects, as that is what I have here handy. So I think that I will start with the pepper shaker here. So when you're doing this, also try to utilize the entire space of that drawing paper. And as I draw, you'll see the difference in the type of pencil that I'm using and the quality of line that I'm drawing with. Remember to keep going slowly, even with details that might repeat themselves. Now I'm switching to the B pencil. I'm moving to a new object. I think I'll use the fork here. See this? So you shouldn't have to worry about the drawing that's underneath. Just draw straight on top of what you were working on. Since you're not looking down, it really doesn't matter. Start anywhere within the object. You don't have to start on the outer edge either. And you'll see that this type of pencil is a bit darker than the first one that I was using. Uh-oh, my fork's gonna fall. I'll fix it. Okay. So again, don't look down. Go slow with little details. You could maybe go a little bit faster if there's just a smooth straight line. Keep your eye and your hand working together. It's super important. So what I'm doing is, again, just as an example, you could try out something obviously more complex, and I urge you to do so, because the more that you work at this and focusing and concentrating, the better you become with your eye-hand coordination, and you become a better drawer. I really urge you to really focus on this. Remember the different parts of your brain. You have to forget about the intellectual side of your brain and focus on the spatial side, which really just looks at lines, shapes, forms as you see them in space. And that will help you to draw correctly rather than generalizing, which is what the intellectual side of the brain likes to do when you're drawing. It's like, oh, I know that's a fork. Forks are just a straight line with 3 prongs at the end. But as we know from what I showed you of this fork, there's quite a bit of detail, and that spatial side of my brain is going to help me to recognize that and translate it accurately on my drawing. Sometimes it's hard to really focus, so do try to choose a time when you can sit down and not have a lot of noise around you. That will help you to really relax and slow your eye and your hand down and get them working together. because when you observe things as a drawing, and it's a very different way of looking at something, even observing or understanding your environment and what's around you and the noises around you. So now I have the darkest pencil and my final object, which is a pan. So I'll try to get things going in this vertical format. With these drawings, the most important thing is that they look unique and different, and the mark tends to look a little bit sensitive, or I don't know, a little bit nervous kind of line, which is a quality I think is really interesting.